Hello, welcome to Revelator Alpha. Hope you're all well. I'm going to be doing a live show today. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be going on for. I've got a couple of things that I'm going to be discussing. I'll just wait until a couple of people get into the chat. Otherwise, I'll just leave your comments afterwards, really. So a couple of things we're going to be talking about today. Harley Davidson, the Harley Davidson world, and the cult-like status of that sometimes, and then also going to be talking about motorcycle rally or UK motorcycle rallies, and I've been to a few recently. I was at one just this weekend as well. Really good, but I thought I'd just share some observations that as well. But say, if you're in the chat or if you're going to join the chat, let us know you're in, and if you can hear me okay and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to have your say or come on for a conversation or whatever. By video, then by all means, there's the link is in the chat there. You can click that, join. You'll need obviously a smartphone, but you'll need a set of headphones or in-ear headphones as well, so you don't get any kind of feedback on the line. But yeah, so it's I got a few people in the chat now, sorry, in the viewing now. That's great. Welcome to all of you. As I say, I'm going to be discussing Harley Davidson culture or cults and that kind of thing as well. Preacher Adams, good morning to you from Florida. Good afternoon here, but good morning to you. Do you know what? And this is the reason for this live show is I've noticed in some quite a few comments now on some of my videos that people bring this up or they mention this, that they're not buying into the Harley Davidson cult or the cult-like status. Free Space Age, hello, good morning from Mississippi, and obviously Preacher Adams as well. Hello there, welcome. But I've noticed this quite a bit. Quite a few people are talking about it, and I wanted to share with you this. I just did a quick YouTube video as well. Let me just hold on. YouTube search, I should say. Where is that doing that? Share screen. There we go. And it was this one. Right. So if you look on here, I'm going to try and do the YouTube search and you just go Harley Davidson cult. Obviously, you've got my live show coming right now. But there's been quite a few videos where people have, talked about this stuff or mocked it a little bit, I should say. So that's very interesting to me that people have already talked about this in a kind of way, and it's I suppose it comes from a little bit of frustration. It comes from a little bit of not believing the hype and everything like that. Now, let's just get into what I suppose I mean about this first segment of Harley Davidson cult-like status or cult-like feeling or following towards it. There are definitely people out there who will, and possibly they would not want to watch my channel at all, because I like to try and see both sides of anything that I deal with. But there are people out there who are so blinkered in a faith, in a belief, in this case for Harley Davidson, that it's the be all and end all. It means everything to them. And I kind of talked about this similar kind of thing in videos which I've made recently, in that, if you're not seeing any of the bad side or the problems, you're just purely focused on everything that's good and holy, let's say, about Harley Davidson, then this is kind of like cult-like behavior and cult-like following. Now, I wanted to bring up a definition of cult, what cult is, because this is quite interesting, okay? If I can just show this one here. There we go, share that one. And I don't know if you can see this here. Let me try and make this a full screen. Basically, what it says, a system of religious veneration or devotion directed towards a popular figure or object. And usually when they talk about religious cults, it's cults that are, or religious entities or followings that are not in the mainstream. of a religious fervor, let's say. But also the second definition here: a person or thing that is popular or fashionable among among a particular group or selection of society. So, okay, is this is this a cult? Are Harley Davidson themselves, are they, or have they manufactured this cult-like following through all their marketing? Well, I suppose that's what they should be doing, right? They should be trying to harness you, grab you, and bring you in and hold your attention. And they hold your attention by the lifestyle. They hold your attention by, their marketing or their merchandise, but primarily by the bikes. And also, they've built up a whole dealership network, but the lifestyle around that, the hog groups and everything like that. Roddy, hello. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So, there is this kind of feeling out there amongst those who don't buy into it, who don't really see what all the fuss is about. And, they see it. They see that there's something, something stinks out there. There's something, something's rotten in the state of Denmark, as it were. And I'm not talking about, that they're doing anything criminal or anything like that. I'm far from it. All I'm saying is that it kind of exists over many, many years. That, Harley Davidson as a company, more so than any other company, certainly in the motorcycle world, that I can think of, have attracted this kind of attention. Stephen, hello. Thank you for joining. But I can't think of any other motorcycle company that has attracted this amount of attention or this amount of cult-like following by certain people. Yes, we're all fans of particular brands, let's say, or particular motorcycles, and every brand has its following. Whether you're a Ducatisti, for Ducatis, whether you're a rat for I don't know what they call them, actually the Triumph rats or whatever it is. Whether you're into Moto Guzzi's, whatever it is, But I'm sure there is, Hey, Penright, hello. How are you? Connecticut Rider, currently in Vaca, New Mexico. Hello. Thank you for joining. Preacher, blind brand loyalty is actually bad for the brand. Well, I would say so. I mean, this is where, and the kind of videos which I make is that I kind of question various elements or kind of make suggestions in what is the psyche and what is going on. But I agree, any kind of blind following is bad for you as the customer in this case, but I think it's bad for them as well, because it doesn't motivate them to improve, to do better, to change, to evolve, or to listen to what we want to say or what we really want. In other words, they're not listening to those who are questioning what they're doing. And this is what I oh god, here we go. Sorry, I'm gonna have to, I don't know how you ban somebody here. Block user, there we go. I'm gonna have to put we just got invaded by some odd remarks, but there we go. But anyway, so it's an interesting concept. I think that the people are so devoted to the brand, and I ask this question: if you're so devoted to a brand, is the brand devoted to you? And when that brand, and certainly like Harley Davidson, when they say to me, or when I hear them say, I should say, when I hear them say, oh, do you know what, we've reached out into the community, and I say, well, what community have you reached out to? Who have you spoken to? What is this that you're saying to us, that you're listening to what people are saying? Now, there's an element of, well, maybe they shouldn't really listen too much. They should do their own thing. But they've got to get some kind of feedback, and they've got to be able to listen to what you and I and others are saying as well. They can't just be listening to the fans. They've got to be listening to people who are asking questions. And yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that you should be listening to the people who are saying horrible things about them, because that's just noise at the end of the day. But if somebody's making constructive criticism or asking, then you kind of wonder, well, what's going on. And there is this feeling, there is this certain way of a certain belief amongst certain people, okay, because it's not right across the board, but there is this kind of feeling that if you get into Harley Davidson, then they're pulling you inside more and more. And in one way, it's a really good thing, because it's good for them, because they're pulling you in. They're making they're making they're making you a fan. They're making you really into the brand, and that's good business, right? But what I'm saying is that you are not, as a customer, or you're kind of being pulled into it, but you're not checking yourself. You're not seeing, well, what's really going on, what's happening. And I think over the last sort of maybe 10 years, there has been a bit of a shift, I think. Well, maybe a little bit more. Maybe it's 10, 15 years. There's been a bit of a shift, I think, in how I've observed Harley Davidson, or how I've observed the people that really get into them. Yes, they still attract, I suppose, an older demographic still. Yes, I suppose. But younger people are coming in. Definitely more women riders have got into motorcycling in general, but certainly into Harley Davidson. So things have changed, things have evolved. Yes, their products have changed as well. The way they do business is probably changing as well. They've changed the people within the company. But they're still, every time they bring out a new bike, they're still trying to sell you this old lifestyle, harping back to what was before, But I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I always say this on my videos these days. I say, now I'm giving an opinion, but I could be wrong. I mean, I could be seeing it from a completely warped viewpoint, let's say. But I think I pick up on what people say in the comments, let's say, on videos or on other videos as well. But I also pick up on the comments that people are so forthright about, being that positive about Harley Davidson, and they won't have anything said about them. And I get people from dealerships call me, or people who've got some tangible link to the company in some way. And some can be quite, well, I wouldn't say nasty, but there's probably, they're quite really defensive and over something, let's say, that I might say, and start throwing accusations my way. And it's just like, well, what I don't know why you have to react like that. First of all, I think it's a bit silly, but at the same time, I think I think you can't be giving an objective viewpoint when you're actually within the system. Let's say when you work at a dealership, or when you work for the company, right? Because you just can't. You have to be positive about the company. Of course you do, because that's your job, right? I mean, it's just like the company that I work for. I'm not going to come on onto social media or anything. This is something I would always suggest everybody does. Never ever criticize the company or the business that you work for, because at the end of the day, just don't even talk about your business. Just don't even talk about it, because it's your job, right? And you could get yourself into trouble, and people do this all the time. They get themselves into trouble over making remarks, and they just shouldn't do it, really. But here we go. When I'm looking for a motorcycle or anything, I'm looking what will work best for my needs and tastes. I'm exactly the same, and I that's what I always say. I say, if I want to go and do a particular style of riding, I just see what is on the market, let's say, and I'll see, okay, do I like that? Do I like that? Do I like that? That kind of thing. Interesting. What somebody said the other day. This is why I love digging into the comments. A lot of people say you shouldn't read the comments. You should just ignore them. You'd probably be better. But you learn a lot from the comments as well. Somebody was talking. I made a video the other day about Indian motorcycles, whether you would shift from Harley Davidson to Indian, and again, mixed response. And many people say, absolutely not, I'm sticking with Harley Davidson. That's fine, but again, it's showing this absolute devotion to a brand. So my devotion, I suppose, is to a bike. not to a brand. You see what I'm saying? So if Indian produced a bike that I really liked, I think, you know, I really want that. But it'd be the same as any other brand, let's say BMW, Triumph, whatever. But anyway, somebody remarked in that, I can't remember, you go back to the video, you'll see down there, I forgot who it was, they were talking about the history of Indian motorcycles, and they said the only authentic Indian motorcycles, right, will have stamped not motor with an R cycles, it'll be moto cycles. I didn't know that. So there we go. I think what bothered me most about the Harley Davidson approach to customers is a bit cliquish. Yeah, and again, you hear I hear this all the time. Absolutely, I bought my first new Harley Davidson in 2007, and the entire dealership were part of Hog chapters. And if you don't want to join after purchase, your next visit. Sorry, I bought my first Harley Davidson, and the entire dealership were part of the Hog chapters. It's not congenial. It's not as congenial and friendly. Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, that is, isn't it? Because yeah, you're automatically put into the Hog membership when you buy a brand new motorcycle. And I think it's for a year. I'm pretty sure it's just for a year, and that gives you 10% off anything that you want to buy. So again, this is kind of enticing you to believe and get, you know, go all in, as it were. But I found I had a few issues with that as whole setup as well, and I've made videos about this, and I've talked about this in the past, that I didn't really have time to go and, you know, look into it. COVID hit as well, and all that kind of stuff. So things were, you know, weren't really working for me in terms of going to be with Hog. I mean, I did for a year or 2 years. I paid for just get that extra 10%, but you know, I mean, it wasn't really for me. Hi, Scoot, how are you? Yeah, thank you for joining. I think the same way. I love Harley, but it really comes down to what I want and what I need. Yeah, I think you're the same. Here we go. Brutal Blues. What a cool name. Brutal Blues. So I sold Harley Davidsons, but I never defended the company or pushed the lifestyle. However, there is a kinship among Harley riders. Yeah, I would say that. And it's pretty much real. I've sold all Japanese brands too. Yeah, and I don't think you get that with other brands, do you? I don't think you get that with Harley Davidson. I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily in terms of the way riders, because I think, look, this is where I see motorcycling in general, right? There are very few people in this world that want to be alone. Okay, I mean totally alone, right? There are very few, or there are it's a very small percentage, I'll say, you know. Marlene Dietrich, I want to be alone, you know, that kind of thing, right? It's a very small amount of people. So most people will naturally want to levitate, or whatever the word is, to other people, and you will naturally want to go with like-minded people, right? So, you know, if you ride motorcycles, we're going to talk motorcycles, but you could apply this to any other thing, right? You'll go to, if you ride a motorcycle, you buy your first motorcycle, you kind of want to be or get around or see what's happening in what other people are doing with motorcycles as well. If you ride a Harley Davidson, you naturally may want to start hanging around with people who ride Harley Davidsons, right? You know, you want to go to the dealership if you're new to it. If you've never experienced this before, you know, you see they're having a dealership party, right? Okay, they get you into Hog. You can go around to, you know, their Hog meetings, Hog chapters, and ride around, go on ride. So it becomes a social thing, and great. This is good. It's a good thing, right? To have a social aspect to it. But this is all, you know, the conspiracy theorists out there would say, well, this is all part of the effect of bringing you in. And if you look at other systems, other cult-like systems, it's very similar. It's very similar. There's a way of enticing you in, bringing you in, reinforcing positivity. But at the same time, you know, they're reinforcing you, but at the same time, they're bending you over and shafting you at the same time. You know, and this is where people get really peed off with somebody like Harley Davidson, which is say, well, you've got all these massive problems, but you're still trying to feed us this line. You're still trying to feed us this thing. So it's not necessarily that the people who are buying Harley Davidsons are willingly going into a cult or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that Harley Davidson are acting like cult leaders, but there's so many similarities here when you look at it. And I didn't really think about it until I started seeing all these comments in the videos, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? This is. Let me think about this a little bit. Let me think about what people really think about, Harley Davidson, or what they used to think about them, or what they think about them now. As I say, I think the demographics changed. It's certainly changed the last 20, 25 years, I'd say. Um, Certainly over here in the UK, it's definitely changed. And back in the day, when I was a kid growing up, yes, there were Harley Davidsons, of course, but not many, not many. There were, and a lot of those were imported bikes at the time. When I'm talking way back in the day when I was a kid, right? So those are imported bikes. Then you had a few dealerships or independents starting up, and then so it was more of a used bike thing. And then it's like gradually becoming new bikes and everything. Dealerships started to open up all over the country. And then, it started to attract people from outside of motorcycling circles, let's say, that you wouldn't normally associate as being, with a bike, let's say. And all of a sudden it changed. People would change, and different types of people got into motorcycling. Well, again, which is a good thing. I don't say that as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. But there's inevitable change. But also there's an inevitability of people latching onto a kind of a tourism, a motorcycle tourism, Harley Davidson tourism. And we see this. If you're a sports fan, so I'm a huge football fan, and I see this at football games. I go and watch football, and you have, and especially if your team is in the top league in the year, in the country, or in the best league, or if not the best league, one of the best leagues in the world, of the number one sport in the world, which football is, right, on a global sense, then it attracts people who are not necessarily fans of your team or the team that they're playing. They're just coming for the experience. They just want to come and experience this whole football, playing, two teams playing in the best league in the world, playing for the most popular game in the world, all that kind of stuff. And it's a similar kind of thing with motorcycling, how that's changed in the last sort of 20, 25 years, I suppose. But certainly with Harley Davidson, that have kind of created this cult culture where people are getting into Harley Davidson, and they think they're getting in because they really like the bike and they really like what it means. But what they're looking at is the whole package, and they think, I want a bit of this. I like a bit of this. I feel that I want to be part of about Harley Davidson. I want to be part of owning this. I want to go on group rides. I want to go. So there is positivity here. There's good things, but there's also very much resemblance of people who have jumped into it, and they haven't done their research, as it were. They've kind of looked into it and said, yeah, I like the bikes, that's it, and I can go on rides, or I can go on this. You just think about this. How many people have bought Harley Davidsons, let's say, and then have joined hog chapters? It's got to be a small amount, really. I mean, yeah, because otherwise you'd have, thousands and thousands of people in hog chapters. They might keep the membership for a year because of that 10%, but thereafter, no, I'm not so sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd say it's a very small percentage. And again, with any group, okay, with any group, whether it's a motorcycle club, whether it's a motorcycle organization, whether it's a charity thing, whether it's whatever, whether it's a riders' rights group, the strength and the weakness of that group is based upon the attitudes of the members itself, the membership. And if you want to attract people to that group, to that membership, whatever it is, then you've got to, be welcoming to that group. But also, if there's rules, then you've got to be, adhere to those rules. Now, people either want to join in or not. But if you're not really made to feel welcome, or you've got some bad personalities within a group, let's say, then that's going to put people off. And that puts people off, I'm sure. And also, as soon as you start owning your Harley Davidson, let's say, because you want to buy into this life, right? You want to buy into this kind of way of operating, way of thinking, the social scene, the barbecues, the motorcycle rallies, and all this kind of stuff. You want to meet up with other Harley Davidson. You see Harley Davidson on the road, you go, hey, all that kind of stuff, right? So in your mind, you're thinking, I want that. I want a bit of that. But then after 2 or 3 months, let's say, you ride your bike and you start having issues with it. Or then you start realizing, actually, this is going to cost me a lot of money, or this is costing me a lot of money. And then you start doing your sums, and then you start figuring out, well, what's going on? Why do I have to wait so long for a part? And then you start hearing about all other things. You start talking to people, and, there are issues. But you'll hear the good side. Great, because that's what they want you to hear, and that's what people would want to talk about, right? Because I always say there's lots of positivity out there. But it might be that those niggling things or those bad things that you hear starts to put you off a little bit. You still love the bike. You still love Harley Davidson as a brand, let's say, but maybe you start to distance yourself a little bit from it. And this is what I mean, that some people pull way back from it. Some people pull a little back from it. Some people don't pull from it at all. They still buy into this. They still won't have anything said about them. So I think, as companies change and they evolve, they will attract people, they will alienate people. And this is what's happened over the last sort of 15, 20 years, let's say. They've definitely alienated a lot of people who ride Harley Davidsons, let's say. They're definitely. How many times do I hear in my videos or read comments in my videos, right? How many times do I read where people are saying, I'm never going to buy a Harley Davidson again. This is my last Harley Davidson. Or I'm just happy with the bike that I've got. And it's an old, I don't know what it is. It could be a shovel head, could be anything, right? And that's the only one I'm going to keep. I'm not buying any of these new bikes. I'm never stepping into a dealership. I haven't stepped into a dealership in 15 years. So what I'm saying is there's lots and lots of people out there who love their bike, love riding their bike. They just don't want to be associated with Harley Davidson marketing culture, let's say. But let's just get here we go. I'm trying to, there's lots of comments come in. Thank you. There we go. Right. Here we go. Right. Brutal Blues. I dislike the animosity for the company itself. Okay, you dislike the animosity that people show towards the company. I assume that's what you're saying. Well, it depends if the animosity is deserved. It depends what experience people have had. If people have had a bad time with their bike for whatever reason and it's not getting fixed, or they're coming up against poor attitudes from the company or the dealership or whomever they're meeting, then look, I think that it's natural that they're not gonna have a good opinion of the company or a dealership, are they? Lockdown wife sick, but okay. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Shoot. Here we go. I don't have any animosity towards Harley Davidson at all. I don't want to see the company fail or disappear. Well, neither do I. But some dealerships are actually turning people off. Exactly right. I mean, it always comes down to individuals. And this is when I've talked about dealerships in the past. I hopefully I make it perfectly clear that there's always going to be good and bad. And you're going to have good experiences at one dealership and bad experiences at another. And again, like I was just talking about the groups or clubs, it comes down to individuals and personalities and attitudes of people who are there. And this comes down from leadership as well. And if the leadership is wrong, then you're going to have an attitude within that dealership that's wrong. You know, if the leadership is right, then you're going to have decent people working at a dealership who may not necessarily be able to help you out with your problem, because let's say their hands might be tied, but at least, you know, you're not being dismissed out of turn. Here we go. In real life, outside of good old Bulbasaur, I've never experienced negativity from HD riders when I'm not on a HD. We all ride together. Well, again, I've not really experienced anything bad like that. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're any better or any worse than any other type of rider that I've encountered. You know, it's either. I think possibly it depends where you are in the world. Possibly, I think it depends what you're riding at the time. Again, it depends on the individual as well. Harley riders will point out the fact that Indian is owned by Polaris, but gloss over the MF. Yes, it's funny that, isn't it? I had an 81 Shovelhead, and it was a really nice. It was a really nice piece of crap. Yeah. Funny enough, I've been looking at Shovelheads recently myself. Hey, Santos. Hello. How are you? Thanks for joining. Oh, no. My father-in-law is a Chelsea fan, and we don't talk about it. We don't talk to him. Johnny Bravo one. I hang around and ride with everybody on every type of bike. Yeah. I mean, in this country, we're very much eclectic anyway. So there's lots of things, lots of bikes. It's curious, even though I ride a Harley, old 90 Sporty, I get shunned by the Harley riders with the bigger bikes, cruisers and baggers. Well, that's interesting. You know, I hear about this as well. And I think this is what I was talking about with the change in motorcycling ownership videos. I think it's brought in a different kind of person as well to say, well, if you're even being, you know, shunned, as you say, by other Harley riders, that again, that comes down to personalities, that comes down, you know, individuals, but that comes to possibly, you know, of people buying new machines and looking down their nose at somebody who's riding an older machine. And I just, you know, I can never understand that as well. Things have changed for sure. I would say so. Isn't a Sportster? Oh no, here we go. No. We can't say that. I saw a lovely couple of Sportsters. I've always said this about Sportsters. I've always said, for me, that the Harley Davidson Sportster is the best bike in proportion. It's the one that looks the best proportionally, you know, and it's designed. So there we go. There we go. I don't even like the AMF Harleys. Well, I like some of them, I got to say. I know they were not top notch. Yeah, they had lots of problems, as I owned one, but there was enough aftermarket parts around to upgrade from the factory stuff. Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people were doing. And if you got an AMF bike, you know, you pay you know, you change things on it, don't you? You know. Sorry, I'm just gonna skipping through all the things here. There we go. Right. I own a Harley and an Indian. I don't hate Harley. It's just that the blind following and Ronald Reagan are the only reasons they weather the storm. Yeah, absolutely right. I think a lot of people forget about that. A lot of people, or they don't forget about it, they just don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about that, how Harley Davidson bailed out. And I don't think they're going to be bailed out again if anything ever happens to them. That's for sure. But there we go. Santos, here we go. So in the end, Harley Davidson is a business. Yeah, absolutely right. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to the yeah, I'm just trying to get back to the comments here. Santos, here we go. R.I.P. Sonny B. Oh right, yeah, yeah, he died this week, didn't he? Sonny Barger, that's right. Yeah, he's 80 is good age. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how old he was. I've got a story about Sonny Barger actually from back in the day. I don't know if those of you who've been following me for a long time know that I used to ride used to have a motorcycle magazine. Anyway, so he, Sonny Barger, obviously wrote a couple of books, or 2 or 3 books. He had, I think, not sure, 3 or 4 books, I think it was. And one of those he made into a film. And I think there was always plans to make other films as well. And he was always being trying to get his books or his stories and made into films. And I think he had loads of associations with Hollywood or Hollywood types trying to make films or get projects off the ground. Anyway, so eventually they made a film, he and a few others. They funded the film themselves, and they got people in to make it, and Dead in 5 Heartbeats. So if you've watched it, it's pretty decent. But I wrote an article about that film because one of the sections of the magazine was always talking about motorcycle films, you see. So anyway, this is a new film at the time, so I wrote quite a good article. Anyway, the director, he somehow he read that article, and I can't remember if he contacted me or I contacted him. I can't remember, or he left a comment. Basically, he was saying, really appreciate this, right? And I think he'd shown it to Sonny Barger as well. I don't know. Anyway, so I think they were just getting lots of comments at the time from motorcycle press and movie press at the time. And he picked up on mine. He said, "Oh, well, great, right?" Anyway, so I said, "Oh, it'd be good to do a follow-up." This is probably about a month or so later. So I did a Skype call with the director, and we were talking about all things about the film, the content of the film, how it was made, all that sort of stuff. So you really get into it, because I'm a bit of a movie buff anyway. And so I wrote another article, and obviously they wanted to check it to make sure that what I was saying was right. That's fine. There's proofreading. That's fine. This is kind of standard stuff. If you enter like an agreement that they want to have final say about what you said, I wasn't going to be dictated to about what I wrote, but as long as it was factually correct. And I kind of made this perfectly clear as well, I think, at the time. So, I won't change it. And if it's not agreeable, then I just won't write the article type thing. Anyway, so that article he actually went over and sent it to, because they were very close at the time. I think they were living right next to each other or something like that. He went over to Sonny Barger to actually read the article, and Sonny Barger read the article and said, yeah, he was really happy with it, and thanks for all that. So he came back and said, yeah, absolutely right, no problem. So we had another Zoom meeting as well, and I said, is there a way that you could get a photo of you and Sonny on the in front of the bikes or whatever, on the bikes and everything? He said, yeah. So he went over, they took a picture, and I'm not sure if it's his wife that took the picture, the photo. They sent me that picture, and it actually went onto the front cover. So there we go. So that's my little story about Sonny Barger, which I don't really know anything about. I did a lot of research about the club scene. It was all for the article as well, but for the movie, and how I was really interested in how it was made, rather than the content of the film, as it were. But there we go. Here we go. Let's just get back to here. There's a guy in my riding circle that throws a backpack on and rides his sports everywhere. We ride our baggers tours, and he's on a stock seat. Yeah. Look. And this is one thing I've always said about any motorcycle, right? You can do anything on any motorcycle, right? You don't have to have an all-purpose off-road bike to go and do off-roading. Yeah, it might be more difficult, whatever. You don't need a tourer to go and do touring, right? You don't need a sports bike to go fast. Well, it'll enable you to go faster, but you can still go fast enough on a normal bike. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily need whatever. I mean, whatever bike. So you can go use any bike. Yeah, in the end, Harley Davidson is a business. Absolutely right. They are a business, and they want to fuel this kind of cult-like admiration because it's good for business, and they won't want to entertain anything negative. They won't really, you never see Harley Davidson as a company, let's say as a CEO or anybody, have a Q&A session with people, or answer anything, or highlight a problem that they've had. And this is not just Harley Davidson, I'm going to say, this is any automotive company. They're not really going to want to highlight anything that they've done wrong, or there's a problem, or their customers feel is not right. They might quickly and quietly get it fixed in subsequent models, or they might have an update, or they do a recall. I mean, they do factory recalls and stuff like that. But there we go. That's me. Had you alienated me now? I have excluded them. Well, I mean, I think there's a right. That is the same for a lot of people. Here we go. I love HD bikes, but the culture turns me off. No, I don't want to come to your parties and listen to your weird QAnon conspiracy theories for 4 hours. Wow. There is a lot of that. There is a lot of that. Here we go. Look, Sarge, if there was ever, I haven't even read the comment yet, but if there was ever somebody who has a right to be absolutely disgusted and hateful of Harley Davidson, is this guy. He's had lots of problems with his bike, right? Beginning of March, belt snapped, 22,000 miles, right? Both pulleys damaged, happened 1 week after new tires fitted by the dealership, right? 4 months later, still no bike, emails ignored, phone calls ignored, right? So he can't get his bike fixed. Harley Davidson UK and the dealerships are not wash their hands of it. They're not wanting to get this sorted out. And this is a fat bob you got, isn't it? Yeah. So this is where the animosity comes, because you can't have a situation where people are just, they're not even being communicated with, not even having their issues addressed, nothing's being sorted out properly. You can't have this situation that goes on and still say, hey, everything's all right, everything is great, everything is fantastic. Harley Davidson this, Harley Davidson that. You can't have people who were in hog chapters, right? And then all of a sudden they've got friends in that hog chapter, right? They're all friends because everybody's a friend, everybody's your bro, right? And everybody rides Harleys. Then all of a sudden they step out, or they want to go and do something different, and they're not allowed to. So they question that, then they're kicked out, or they're not made to feel welcome, or heaven forbid they decide to ride or go and buy another bike, right? And then all of a sudden, whilst they acknowledge that they won't be in the hog chapter anymore because they're not riding a Harley Davidson, it's just that they're completely cut off from those friendships anymore. They're not allowed to have friends. Now, I'm not saying this is the norm, but I'm saying this is what people tell me has happened to them. So if there's one experience of this, in the case of Sarge, if there's one experience of this, then this is a red flag to everybody to say, hold on a minute, what the hell is going on? Because if one person experiences it, then you can bet your bottom dollar, pound, or shekel that somebody else has experienced it. And you know what? It could happen to you next. That's the issue. There we go. Sorry, I'm just right. There we go. Sonny B was victory convert from HU also. Yeah, he was. Yeah, interesting that, wasn't it? Interesting that, because that's when he made that film, and the main character was riding a Victory, I believe, as well. In fact, they had a deal with Victory Motorcycles, who provided them with free bikes for it, and he was riding a Victory as well. This is Sonny Barger as well. But that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, certainly within certain parts of the United States, especially within motorcycle club life, especially, they would say it's got to be Harley Davidson. Well, he was, not a lot of people don't know this about Sonny Barger as well, but I have this on good authority, that they're always saying that Harley, he would always say, oh, it's got to be Harley Davidson and it's got to be American brand. However, he also did, and he was quoted, and he did say this, that he was also a big fan of the Kawasaki's of the day. I can't remember which model it was, but he said, they make really good bikes. The Japanese bikes, they make really good bikes. But he was never going to ride them because he's in a motorcycle club. But then obviously he shifted away from Harley Davidson. He's like, whatever. I don't know if his relationship soured with them, or he just thought he just fancied a victory. I don't know what the situation was. There we go. Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Hello. Went into local HG dealership yesterday with my brother. All of Harley's problems were summed up in one viewing of a used 2021 CVO Road Glide Ultra. Used price was $44,000. That is completely insane. Thank you. Exactly right. There we go. By the way, Alf, I'll be enjoying our Happy Treason Day tomorrow. I'll raise a beer in your honor, sir. Of course it is. Yes, of course it is. Yes. Do you know what? I must be going insane. Because I was at a rally yesterday and I noticed quite a few American flags about. And then I was out. I went to a dealership. Actually, popped into a dealership to get a free coffee, as you do. And I saw quite a few American flags about, and I thought, what the hell's going on? What? But you know what? Of course it is. It's Independence Day. Happy Treason's Day. Yes. Yeah. How dare you come away from from us? Eh? How dare you? But there we go. Where are we going? Here we go. The insane cost of new bikes is why I keep my 2013 paid up Victory as long as possible. Look, I think lots of people are the same, aren't they? Lots of people are in the same. But there we go. Look, I mean, I think it's an interesting split now within the Harley Davidson riders, that there are lots of people who see the problems, who acknowledge the problem, and they just don't believe the hype. And if you got somebody like me who's going to try and observe these things and sort of pick out certain elements left, right, and center, and then you think, well, actually, hold on a minute. What are you saying? What are you saying? What are we doing here as people, as customers? And most of this, right? I'm not gonna put at the hands of Harley Davidson as a company or as a dealership, because they're a business. That's what they want to do. That's what they should be doing. They're doing the right thing, right? It doesn't mean I have to like it, but what I'm saying is that people are buying into this, and you kind of think, well, what's in it for them? What's in it for, let's say, a person like me to have blind faith, blind loyalty to a company that treats me like, well, I'm not saying it treats me with indifference or treats me badly, or what's in it for me? Why would I like that company so much, or like that brand, or will defend it, or be defensive about it? What is it? I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand what it is. I know it all comes down to personalities, but I just don't get it. I just don't get why people are that way inclined. Why would you be that defensive and that pro, a motorcycle company that doesn't really care? I made a video a few weeks ago, right, about Harley Davidson as the ownership of Harley Davidson, and I read an article where they were speculating whether big investment or a takeover of Harley Davidson could be from a foreign country, foreign company, whether it's China, but there's big money coming out of Saudi Arabia, right? Interesting, right? Lots of people, never would. I'd leave Harley Davidson if anything did that. So again, they're leaving Harley Davidson because it won't be an American company. So again, it's linked in with patriotism, an American company, isn't it? This loyalty to the brand. But your motorcycle might still be absolutely fantastic. And then because your motorcycle that you've bought in the United States in particular was assembled in America at the plants, right? Then it's okay. But similar kind of people can have the same kind of feeling for their motorcycles, they're actually built in foreign countries. And Harley Davidson came under strong criticism a few years ago, especially by Trump as well. He's basically saying, you're moving your factories out of here. Why are you moving your factories out of the country? You should be, you're not an American company anymore. You're not really thinking about the American workers or the American people. Are they? That's the problem. They're thinking about themselves. And now Europe and the rest of the world get their bikes from Taiwan or wherever. South America, I think they get a lot of them from Brazil. India used to produce the street bikes, the street 500, 750, whatever it was, as well. Obviously, they stopped that now. And lots of parts are made in China. So what is this loyalty that you've got to Harley Davidson? And if you say that, it gets foreign investment or foreign money, guess what? We're going to leave. Well, I get you what. I tell you what, this is a question that I didn't really say and I didn't really cover in the video. But let's just say that Harley Davidson does get foreign investment. Well, guess what? They already have. They already have got foreign investment. They've already got foreign hookups. They're not on an island. They're not an American island. They've already got it. They're floated on the stock exchange. Anybody in the world can buy Harley Davidson stock. Any company. And I read an article the other day. Again, I can't remember where it was. Again, it's another financial paper, but they were talking about the top 5 investors in Harley Davidson. If you look at those companies, a lot of those companies are made up of foreign investments as well. The more you dig into it, the more you think it's the absurdity of a blind faith into a company, into a brand that you think is American. You think it stands for something, the eagle, the American flag and all that sort of stuff. But it isn't. It isn't that. It isn't. It's a marketing ploy. It's a veil over the truth. It's smoke and mirrors. So if you like the bike, great. If you like riding the bike, fantastic. If you like the social aspect of it, fantastic. But the cult-like illusion is definitely there, and some people can see through it, and other people can't. Oh, so hey, Saddlebag, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Honda is discontinuing 10 different models of motorcycles. Yeah, this is a follow-up to a video I did the other day about, Honda. Are they going to be the big fish in the pond? Including Goldwyn. Thanks to new tighter Japanese emission standards coming into effect this fall. Yeah, I think it's not just Honda. I think the other Japanese manufacturers do. I think there's going to be a lot of shift in which motorcycles are continuing to be made across the board. And a lot of this is going to be down to the changing environment, here we go. And there we go. How are you, man? I'm very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining. What I've been hearing in the biker community here in Cebu is that Honda, Suzuki, Harley are actually negotiating with Chinese motor builders and bikes. Well, again, this is another thing. This is a story that I released or talked about. I commented on. I made a video about a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 months ago, where they've been working with a Chinese motorcycle manufacturer to produce a small bike. It was going to be a 350, then went to a 400, 450, now it's a 500cc. Whether that will actually happen or not, who knows? But there we go. No, Honda is not scrapping the Goldwyn. One model of wing is going away, the bagger model. Oh, is that right? Okay, I don't know the ins and outs of this. I do like that Goldwyn. So I was at the show last year and I thought, hello. Very nice. Here we go. Right. To allow the Chinese companies to build copies, knockoffs of popular bikes. Well, they do, but they're also producing their own versions now. Yep, China already building knockoffs, but they're building clone knockoffs, whatever. But they're also building them under license. I covered this in another video as well. They've entered long-term relationships with Western companies to build their engines or build parts for them or build discontinued engines. So I showed, well, I made a live show a couple of weeks ago about the Chinese motorcycle manufacturer, Shinrei, who've just made a clone of a Sportster engine, the V1200, I think it is, and it's going to be coming out later in the year. And so there we go. Oh yeah, the Chinese Husqvarna knockoff dirt bikes. It was the biggest bike ever. Well, I hear mixed things about Huskies actually. Some people are rave about them, others not. I've never really been that convinced by them. KTM's, yeah, but again, I hear lots of problems with KTM's as well. So. But there we go. It's an interesting thing. But I think we could talk about this until we're blue in the face about the cult-like status of Harley Davidson, or those who really buy into it. All I'm saying is that there's a reason why this has occurred, and it's basically a manipulation of thinking. It's brainwashing. I was listening to an interview the other day. They were talking. It's an old interview with a KGB ex-KGB person. They were talking about how the United States in particular, but he was also talking about Western countries as well, how the Soviet Union back then were at war with America, and America didn't even know they're in a war because they changed over a series of 25 years, they changed the way Americans were thinking, and they basically started introducing Marxist-Leninist thinking in colleges, and then those people became, liberals and Democrats, and those people got into positions of power after a generation, right? And into a bigger, and it changed the thinking of Americans. And they started to, there's like 4 phases of how you can change the thinking of America. And so, and basically that's what happened, that's basically what has happened, or what they think has happened to Western countries, that over a period of time. And then it's also started talking about modern day, how like big Facebook groups and religious Facebook groups are actually, they're all organized by Russian or, these troll farms or whatever they call them. So you don't even know what you're reading. And they're kind of inciting you to do things. Now, I know this is completely nothing to do with Harley Davidson, of course, I know that. But what I'm saying is to you, there is, over a long period of time, you can have an indoctrination, a way of thinking, of believing, because it's always reinforced that story. And this is why I mock what Harley Davidson do in particular when they release a new model and they talk about the history and the heritage and all that sort of stuff, because it's just always this reinforcement. And I get it, because that's what they want to bring you into this, just like Michael Corleone, they pull me back in type thing. It's that kind of thing. See, another movie reference there from The Godfather. There we go. But look, it's an interesting thing. I think it's an interesting viewpoint to have when people think that Harley Davidson is a cult, or the people are acting like a cult-like behavior. And I can see it, and I can see this the similarities. But I think there's the ownership has changed, but also think what people are prepared to put up with these days is different. I don't think you might have people who are into the scene, but temporarily. I think people are more likely to want to pull back from Harley Davidson as a company now than before. Than before. I think they're especially if they're buying a product, they're paying a lot of money, $44,000 for a used bike, right? A lot of money for a bike, whether it's new, whether it's used, and it's just the quality isn't there. Now, and heaven forbid they buy a bike which they think was built in America. This is an American bike, but they actually find out that was built in Thailand or Taiwan or whatever it is, or it's got Chinese parts on it. you know, or the whatever, it's all substandard here, keeps on breaking down, and they can't fix your bike, and they can't produce the part or give you enough parts, and they haven't got enough service, and you're faced with an attitude, well, you know, that's it, take it or leave it type thing. Well, people think, well, I'll leave it then. I'll leave it. I'll go. You know, I'm not putting up with this. And this is why, you know, people are more vocal about these sort of things. And yes, social media has come on, and Twitter and Facebook and all that sort of stuff. You know, and I think, you know, you can see these in Facebook groups as well, motorcycle Facebook groups as well. You know, you'll get people who, you know, will have an opinion, let's say, and they might have a negative opinion, and other people will, you know, jump on them for having a negative opinion, or they have a positive opinion and they get jumped on for having a positive opinion. It's a weird one, and people are weird like that, I suppose. But that, you know, but that, I can see it. I can see why people think that people act like they're in a cult, because they're not looking at it. But I think there's many more people who've had their eyes opened over the last sort of 15, 20 years, and especially the last few years with Harley Davidson. I think they've had their eyes opened up, and they're really sort of saying, hold on a minute, this isn't quite right. What are we doing here? Why are we buying this? You know, and they're just buying it because they like the bikes, and not necessarily because that they like the brand. But there we go. Right, I know I've missed out lots of comments, by the way. Sorry, there's lots here. I'm old enough to remember when Made in Japan meant an absolute POS. Look at their quality now. Pretty sure Chinese service is getting better also, and will continue to do so. I completely agree, and I've said this quite a lot of times as well. Now, we had the same reaction to Japanese bikes from people who were into British bikes back in the day, you know, the late 60s, early 70s. And you know, and they'd also talk about, you know, the quality or Japanese quality and all that sort of stuff. Well, again, you can either see the same sort of progression with Chinese. I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. There we go. Stephen, I have a Chinese bike here in Cebu, a Ruzi Classic 256 speed, dual front disc, brakes rear disc, all cooler. I've had no problem with it. Paint sucks, chain sucks, but in general, okay. All right, well, there you go. You know, but you just think about the next generation of Chinese bike, you know, or Indian bike, or, you know, Japanese bike. You know, there's going to be like that. And one thing you can definitely say, they learn fast, and they learn quick, and they develop quick. You know, and if you want something done on a global scale, that's the market that's going to produce it. You know, and they can do it at a price. I would say. But there we go. Right. So listen, you know. Oh, hello. What have I done there? So I just touched my thing there. Right. So this is. You know, I wanted to talk about this because I thought it was quite interesting. I was only going to do this for about 10 minutes, so I've been on it for an hour. Unbelievable. Right, so that's Harley Davidson. Colin, let us know what you think about all that. By the way, let us know what you think about this kind of attitude from certain people who, you know, I call them, you know, fanboys or cheerleaders, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that, being a fan or being a cheerleader of a company. But I think personally, I just think you need to have more of an open mind and acknowledge. And I think certainly as a company, they need to, I'm not necessarily embrace, but they just need to listen more of what people are saying, and also the problems that people have, you know, and acknowledge those and deal with those in a proper way, a respectful way. There we go. Let's get a couple of here. Yamaha will stop selling 2 models from its flagship FJR13 series of Tours. Yeah, you know, I'm sure all the manufacturers will be doing that. Right. Okay. Let's get on to the next thing, right? Because I wanted to talk about motorcycle rallies. But look, first of all, let me say this. First of all, I just want to say thanks for all the great comments that you put in today in the chat, but also in the videos as well recently. Some really funny ones out there. You know, some really great comments. I ignore all the horrible ones, but there's some really funny ones. Thanks for all that. Thanks for all the support that the channel's been getting as well. I know, look, as I said this before, people are going to leave the channel, as in subscribe or come back on, and the whole point of the channel is not about searching views or doing stuff just for views or doing stuff just for subscribers. It's about producing content that hopefully people will want to listen to and enjoy. And if they don't, it's never part of the it's never been part of the channel to just produce content that only a particular group of people may enjoy. It's about producing lots of stuff, and still producing content, and which I enjoy producing, and doing these live shows I really enjoy as well. But there we go. But I've also got to say, before I talk about the next subject, it's kind of like this. I don't know why, but I had this weird dream the other night. A weird dream about people calling me out for dissing Harley Davidson. But the funny thing was that it was one of them was Sylvester Stallone. And he was calling me out. He was also threatening me for dissing Harley Davidson, which I wasn't. But I was like, I didn't diss Harley Davidson. What are you having to go at me for? Don't hit me. I don't know why, but there we go. Of all the people you could have a weird dream about, and the weird thing was that he initially started saying something about, and then he was getting into his car, and as he was getting into his car, he was saying something, and it was totally scrambled, or it didn't make any sense. I thought, now is that him not making any sense, or is this just so I was thinking that in my dream. That's just weird, but there we go. Right, look, motorcycle rallies, right? I talked a little bit about this in the last live stream as well, and how I've added a couple of things to the website. Motorcycle rallies listing for the UK and Ireland so far, and also I've got a motorcycle hangouts place and this is again for the UK so far, and I'm going to try and add that a little bit there. But it's what was I going to say? Yeah, so because of that, also, and I've been going to rallies as well. We're in the rally season here in the UK. There's, I went to a motorcycle rally this weekend, Chinna Bike Days, and some people were saying, we want to see what it's like to have a rally in the UK as well. And I think what it's you got to acknowledge that it's rallies in this country are just starting again, and after a couple of years. Still, people may or may not be turning up to them. They're also going to be a lot smaller than what you might have seen in the usual ones. We do have some bigger ones, but the usual ones are quite small in number. There's going to be like a handful of bigger versions, like proper motorcycle rallies, that you have like sort of a few thousand people there, or 10,000, whatever. Maybe some, a little bit more. You might have day events that attract a lot of people, but in general, you're talking a few hundred people max at these rallies. So they're usually quite small and everything. But anyway, listen, I thought what I would do, I would show you. I got some footage of it, and I'll show you, and I want to talk about the bikes as well, right? So this is an interesting thing. So here we go, right? Let me try and share this with you. Hold on, share. Window one, and here we go. Right, this one. Right. So I'm gonna show this. There we go. Oh yeah. That. So basically, there should be some music through this as well. Let us know if you can hear this. Yeah, there we go. I'll put the music on. Maybe that. Yeah, I put the music on because there's music playing in the background, otherwise there'd be a copyright strike. This is on the channel right now, but I haven't actually made it public. And this is the bike show they had. This is a Saturday. During the day, usually it's a bit of a dead day. The Saturday, well, when I say dead day, you have a Friday night where everybody arrives, and gets set up, and then go drink and listen to music. Saturday it could be fun and games, whatever, a little ride out, a bike show usually, and then Saturday night is another drinking, listen to music, a bit of a party night, but possibly maybe not as many not as much drinking because people have to get up, pack up, and ride home the next day. But there's some nice bikes on display there. You know, a couple of Harleys, a couple of shovelheads. Here we go, Vulcan, Kawasaki Vulcan S there. There was, oh, here, this is an interesting one, right? I've got to stop this. Oh, right. Stop. Right. This is a Moto Guzzi Grezzo, right? But the weirdest thing later on in the video, it's basically you'll see a little bit better. But this exhaust has got it's a twin, obviously the V twin, 6-degree V twin, but it goes around the other side, joins up into a single pipe. It's got just a single exhaust can at the end of it, but the exhaust goes down the left side of the bike, then cuts under the bike, does a 180 under the bike, then comes back out again and goes out again. And I was just thinking, why has it got this big 180-degree turn under there? Why don't they just have the... No, I was just thinking, well, has it got a cat in there or something? Or is it... No, I thought, no, that can't be it, surely. And I thought, well, okay, does it need it for the sound? Is it, or back pressure? Maybe they had to incorporate that. I just thought it was a bit of a weird, you know, convolution. Anyway, let me just carry on with that. There we go. And you know, there's some custom bikes. There's quite a few trikes there as well. What you got to understand is here in the UK, it's an eclectic mix. You'll always have a mix of bikes. This was a nice one. Here, this guy built it up with that, and he's just ridden it. Do you know what that bike? Oh, let me see if I can get back to it. Hold on. I didn't speak to the guy. I should have spoke to the guy. You know, and it's a very nice. Let me just do that. But it's it kind of reminded me of the bikes from oh, what's his name, the American guy who was oh god, Exile Cycles, right? It reminded me a little bit of a couple of those bikes, you know, kind of minimalist, you know, big fat chunky tires at the front and the rear. This he's built, I'm sure he's built it himself. I'm sure I overheard him talking to some other guy there. But it's nice. It's got, but it's an S&S engine. Yeah, oh yeah, S&S there. But I can't think what else. But it's very nice. It's very nice, very minimalist. Man, I like that. I like that a lot. Right, so let me just carry on and show you. There's a couple of other bikes I thought would be really interesting. This is an aerial here on the right-hand side here. The Grezzo there. You'll see it as I come round now. The Grezzo here. It's this part here, right down here. Couple of Harleys there. Very nice. Some also. It's interesting. A lot of the bikes, people have just rode in their stock bikes and just put them into the bike show. This is somebody who had fun with their bike. Very creative. Couple of nice old sporties there as well. But look, you know, you just bolted things on. Quite interesting, quite funny. A lot of these bikes, I tell you what, a lot of these sort of bikes, there still is, back in the day, about 25-30 years ago, when Mad Max first came out, there's a big movement of people building bikes or making bikes to kind of resemble that. And for a while, over a period of years, many people were riding these kind of bikes or building these bikes. And there's, you know, they were building rat bikes as well. And yeah, there is still a big movement. But what I'm saying is there was a big boost, let's say. And then over the years, it kind of up and down a little bit, but it gradually come down. But it's still, you go to bike shows and you'll still see lots of people, you know, with this style, because it kind of moved away from the Mad Max sort of theme into rat bikes, but it kind of got into that zombie apocalypse type, you know, type bike, or that bike that is kind of like yeah, a bug out bike, you know, type thing. So that's where a lot of this comes from. But you still see bikes like this. These are some nice rides there. Nice little trike here as well. So the next one here you're coming up is the Indian. I mean, just look at this, right? Very nice. It's very nice. But this is the one thing that I'm not so sure about Indians is the styling here. The big mud guard, the front, the back, the way it's all enclosed, a lot of the bikes, and that's where I think a lot of Harley Davidson, I think, are better for me in terms of pleasing on the eye. But some of the bikes are just brilliant. But some of the designs are weird, and then other times they're really good. So I mean, you can see it from there. So it's a definitely nice bike. I've seen this bike before as well. It really is a nice bike. Sounds nice as well. That's a nice one. That's a nice paint job on that one. This is a nice paint job in this one. This is I can't remember if it was an S&S engine on this one. Nice paint scheme. This is a bit old school here as well. This was quite nice. I don't know who won best in show, by the way. I'm not sure if any of these won it, or all the different categories. So if you went to this show, and let us know. Put it in the comments below. Let us know. But some nice bikes. I mean, I wasn't going to make a video about this, but I thought I'd just show you these how eclectic. Like here, like the guys that are ridden in on his Kawasaki, and it's just a stock bike. R90, very nice. A couple of Triumphs here. Norton, that was nice. That was a nice one. Look, a couple of DRZs there. Others are Street Bob 114, nice. Memphis Shades, Shaman Warrior fairing. Mobility scooter there. This guy here, I know him very well, and this bike usually wins all the shows all the time. Funny enough, he was usually stopped from entering those. But I tell you, let me just go right back to the start. Because one of the bikes that I would, not that one, that I would look at. Here we go. Right, this one. This bike here. I can't remember if it was a Kawasaki engine or Suzuki engine, Kawasaki engine. But these are the kind of chops that I grew up with. Harley Davidson, not Harley Davidson, hardtail chops. These are the kind that I grew up with, sort of 70s, 80s, 90s. People making their bikes like that, because that's what we had. We didn't really have Harley Davidsons in the numbers that we had now, and they're expensive, really. Okay, right, let me get rid of that. Get rid of that now. So there we go. Look, I mean, it's great going to the rallies as well. I think it's. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Pen Rides. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Very nice out there. It's it's good. It was good to get out. Good to see people out there as well on those other rallies as well. I mean, the Friday night I was working behind the bar all night, so getting the helping out. So it's great. It's great. I quite enjoy working behind the bars at these rallies as well. The ones that I go to. I know the organisers, of course, and I'm always amazed. I always give big high praise to anybody who organises rallies or organises events, because the stuff that goes behind the scenes in organising this is just immense, really. And it's a big team effort, a global effort, really, to get these things going. But it was great. It's the Friday night, as they usually had a couple of bands on. They were quite fun, especially the second one. It was quite fun. People seem to be enjoying themselves. I'll say the Saturday is usually it's a quiet day, especially during the day. Either so the trick is for any motorcycle rally to try and provide some kind of entertainment during the day, isn't it? And how do they do that? What do they do? I mean, you got stall holders and everything there like that, but that's not really entertainment. That's just providing something that people can look at stuff or may want to buy or whatever. I mean, I wonder how much money they actually take in these stores. I doubt very much. The food outlets, I'm sure, do reasonably well. But obviously people are drinking, or they bring their own food or whatever it is, so. So the trick is to try and provide some kind of entertainment. Well, you got a bike show, yeah. Okay, you got you might have some entertainment going on in the day, let's say music, whatever. Yeah, okay, you can have that. But they used to, in different rallies have different things. Sometimes they'll do something during the day for people. Other times they won't. They might have, so, some might have motorcycle challenges, like slow riding challenges or whatever, riding planks, that kind of thing. But I haven't seen that in years, in all fairness. I used to see it more often, but I haven't seen that in years. Some people play, they have funny games or whatever, get people involved in that, and other people don't. Some people just want to sit around and drink all day, whatever, or just chat amongst some friends, because it's a good time to catch up with people as well, isn't it? But it's people who go to rallies, they are, somebody once said to me that you either you might be a biker or whatever, you might be riding your bike, but you might not be a rally person. It's a different type of person, isn't it? Or different, it's like going to anything. You might be really into music, for example, but you don't like going to motorcycle. You don't like going to concerts, let's say. It's that kind of thing. You might be really into football, but you don't want to go to any games. You just prefer to watch it on TV. It's that kind of thing. So I think but they are. People go to rallies are kind of like-minded people, aren't they? They want to go. They want to probably listen to live music. And they're going to catch up with friends, or possibly, especially the last couple of years that we've had. People are going to be trying to catch up to people, but also be people who are missing, that maybe are just not ready to go out yet or go to these places. I know they've struggled in trying to keep these things alive over the last couple of years, and the costs have gone up, as we know. Costs are going up in every way, but they did a great job. They put a great job putting on this rally. So I didn't get footage of the night, the Friday night, let's say, all the music, and I suppose I should have taken a quick image or video on my phone or something. But yeah, they at night, that's when the party really starts, let's say, and everybody sort of congregates to where the bar area is, where the stage area is. So it feels that it's really full then. Whereas on a Saturday day where you saw that, okay, people might be out of their tents, they're, doing other stuff. So it seems really sparse, doesn't it? But there we go. But that's the same all over. And whereas with smaller rallies, you get people who really enjoy being there, who want to be there. And you don't necessarily get tourists or event tourists, as I was alluding to, with football fans, or some football fans, or with getting into Harley Davidson culture, that kind of thing. It's people who really want to be there. Now, if let's say you went to a really big motorcycle rally, that might attract a few people who are not into rallies. They just want to go to the big events, let me put it that way. And I that might just be natural. It might be natural that they would do that, but it's one of those things, isn't it? But anyway, look, great admiration for those people. I just wanted to show you the footage of the of that. I might make that public later, that video. I don't know, I'll see. I'm not sure if anybody wants to watch it. I don't know. It wasn't a great video. I just wanted to show you the bikes and the different types of bikes. It was a nice covering. And I think motorcycle rallies here in the UK, as I say, they're smaller. For the most part, you're going to have rally type people who just go there. It's only the big events that will attract a more diverse crowd, but you're going to have that kind of thing. But and the bikes kind of reflect motorcycling in this country. They have a mix of bikes. You have a mix of people there. I suppose the one, okay, this is generalization, but maybe the one type of biker that you don't get at motorcycle rallies are sports bike riders. Possibly you just don't get sports bike riders at them. Maybe you do, but not in big numbers. Definitely not. Not that I've seen. This is from for over years. Now the bigger shows, yeah, maybe, but not necessarily. Right. But there we go. I mean, so that's it, really. I mean, yeah. Look, it was great. I saw some old faces. It was really nice to see that. It was nice to listen to some decent music, fun music. It was good. It was nice to see people out and about and enjoying themselves. The last few rallies that I've been to as well. You know, it's just nice. I mean, I had to get back and you know, see to my dog the night, so I couldn't stay over. But I went back on the Saturday daytime to take that footage as well, and then I had to get back again. But you know, it was nice just seeing people having fun, enjoying. That's what going out and about and into these rallies especially is all about, isn't it? It's just about enjoying stuff and having fun, and you know, having conversations with people again and able to get close to people again and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, look, so that's it. Bike shows, that's it. I mean, people were asking for footage of that motorcycle rallies, and I might do a little bit more in the future, but I'll see how it goes. I was supposed to go out to a couple of other places today. It's interesting. In July, well, June, maybe so, but certainly July, August, you'll have lots and lots of motorcycle events, motorcycle rallies, and lots going on at the same time. And I kind of wonder how many people can get to multiple places, or do they hop from place to place? And you know, I think, and this is where things like this, where general motorcycle events or motorcycle rallies, they pop up everywhere, and you know, there's no kind of liaising with other organizers to say, well, we'll have ours on a different day because that might conflict. Now, I know that happens, I believe, in the motorcycle club world, in that you have local groups, or you know, what do they call it over here? A coalition of groups, let's say, and where they all meet up, but they all support each other's events, let's say, but they also know when they're having their events, so I think they try and organize them so they don't conflict with others. So yes, so they can go and represent themselves and just go to the other events to support, but also they're not on top of each other. And I think that's one of the reasons of these, you know, big organizations now, let's say, where the groups are all talking to each other, all the clubs, I should say, they're all talking to each other, and the rallies, let's say, that they have, they're not stepping on each other's toes. So that makes it a lot better for everybody. And you know, it means that you can go from one week to the next week to the next week in rally, if you know what I mean, and you're just going to different club rallies if that's your thing, as it were. But you can go to other rallies that are not associated with clubs at all. You know, they might be associated with, like this one and the one that was before, they were motorcycle action group rallies. You get club people there per se, but they're not organized by them. You'll get ones that are specific. They are public events that they want people, anybody, you don't have to be a club person to go, but then you'll have club parties as well, or club events that are only for invited people only, let's say, you know, but that's a different thing. I'm not talking about that. But as I say, you know, so it's but this time of year, the point I was trying to make, this time of year, July, early July, there's lots and lots of events going on at the same time, all over the place. And you know, you can let's say today, I could have gone to 5 events in my within a 50-mile radius. Motorcycle events, this is, you know, so there can be a lot. And then, you know, it kind of peters out a little bit towards the end of into July and August, and then certainly September it starts to drop off. But certainly these 2 months, July and August, whilst they can still be weather affected, these are the ones that are, you know, the big months for motorcycle events, rallies, I should say, outdoor events, let's put it that way. Anyway, right, that's it. That's the end of the live show. I just thought I'd bring that to you. But you know, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, all about that. The Harley Davidson cult, if there is such a thing, I don't know. And motorcycle rallies, you know, you going to any, you've been to any, you know, are they for you? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Would you? I know one of the biggest challenges in motorcycle rallies of all is for people who don't go to them to try and convince them that they're cool, you know, they're nice environments to go to. Yeah, that some people have a perception of motorcycle rallies that they just don't enjoy, they don't want to go to, and then they think, right, I don't want to go to that because this type of person might be there, but they don't know that, they don't know it for sure, it's just something that they've heard. So, you know, one of the biggest challenges is trying to attract people to come to these rallies. So obviously not only from a financial point of view, because you get more people at the rally, the better it's going to be. Of course, you can help pay for things and you know, earn a bit of money to put it into the next rally and everything like that, because you know, they're not earning millions of pounds here, the small rallies, they're just scraping by, right? So getting as many people to come, it is a challenge. It's just obviously it's a big challenge now, but it's always been a challenge of getting non-typical rally people to a rally is difficult. You know, and I've spoken to guys who, you know, trying to do that. So, you know, one of the things is always trying to, okay, where are we advertising? Where are we, you know, where are we trying to put the word out? All that sort of stuff. You know, so it's let's say if you're a Harley Davidson rider, for example, and you're in this Harley Davidson bubble, you may only want to go to Harley Davidson rallies, Harley Davidson events where you know they're all of the Harley Davidsons, right? There's a couple of those in this country, right? Well, you may not want to go to other types of rallies that have other types of people there that are not Harley Davidson only, or not Harley Davidson fans, let's say, or not, you know, into this mindset. So, you know, you don't want to go there because you don't like them, because you think, oh, there's something bad about them or whatever. And they're not, they're just great, fun places to be. But again, it's about perceptions, isn't it? Like sports bike riders and sports bike groups, you know, they don't normally go there because I don't, maybe it's just that it's not something that they're into, or maybe they just don't want to be there, or whatever, you know. But I know that's always the challenge. It's always a challenge. So if you can go to these places, that you hear about them in your area, or you know, you just want to go and try them out on a Saturday daytime, whatever, or just go for a Saturday evening, go, you know, get in touch, or you know, go for the evening and see what's what. If you don't, hey, if you don't like it, you just walk out, don't you? You know, you've paid your money, you have a drink, and you just go. If you don't like it, it's what it. But at least you're giving it a go. At least you're trying. Anyway, so my channel is not about promoting motorcycle rallies. But look, if you want to promote your motorcycle rally, upcoming rally, by all means, let us know. Put it in the comments below. Got no problem with that. If you want to add it to the website, the motorcycle rallies page, or you've got a hangout, a cafe, a pub that you want to you know, let people know about, by all means, let us know. Send in the information via the website and we'll put it all up there for you. Right, that's it. That's the end of the live show. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, thanks for joining, all that kind of good stuff. Have the great Sunday, the rest of your day, and I'll see you for another video coming very soon. Loads of videos, as I say, loads of videos coming. Cheers all. Ta-da.